Hey, this is my ex-husband. Look, he got demoted. Sam and I faced each other in silence. Sam's face turned pale. What an unbelievable coincidence. I let out an exasperated laugh. You got transferred to Denver? My wife Kylie's face turned grim. How could someone who'd always been at the headquarters suddenly get sent to the sticks? Did you screw it up? No, that's not it. Well, you're never going to tell me the truth anyway. I'm not going, so you can go alone. How incompetent do you have to be to get a transfer like that? It's pathetic. Kylie left the room without finishing her meal. That would be the end of our conversation for tonight. My name is Harry. I've been transferred after working 20 years at the New York headquarters. Kylie and I got married 3 years after I started the job. She was a junior in college, and back then we were just club mates. After graduation, Kylie actively approached me. In hindsight, she must have liked where I worked. It's one of the leading publicly traded companies in the US. Because of that, Kylie must have decided I was a suitable marriage partner. She was an only child, and her father ran a business. He was generous and bold, and I feel Kylie was raised not so much spoiled but rather indulged. Back then, we enjoyed our time together, and she was also the most stylish and beautiful woman I knew, probably thanks to her wealth. Many of our friends admired her, and they were jealous of our marriage. Our primary requirement for choosing our house was its proximity to her parents' house. Considering Kylie was an only child, this seemed natural. My married sister also lived in the city, and I still had a younger brother in school living at home. I had no reason to live near my parents, so I agreed to Kylie's request. In retrospect, it was beneficial for our daughter Chloe, who was born later, but it may have had adverse effects on Kylie. Even after marriage, Kylie often put herself first, with her mother filling in the gaps. She'd make plans on a whim, wanting to go out with friends, drink, or relax alone, and would call her mother over. That's probably why Chloe became so close to her grandmother. Kylie's mother, while frustrated with Kylie's whims, had half given up. She often sighed, saying Kylie was just like her father. And she'd always apologize to me. If she took the traits of her father, no amount of upbringing could change her nature. I comforted her mother and was grateful for her help with Chloe. But as a mother, Kylie needed to step up. Even though her mother adored Chloe, arguments about raising her became more frequent. The first major challenge was applying for preschool. Kylie was embarrassed that she hadn't attended a private school. She failed her middle school entrance exams and entered a high school affiliated with a university, but felt out of place among students who had been together since middle school. So she wanted Chloe to take preschool entrance exams, but Chloe was born in summer. At 2 years old, she was too young compared to other children applying for the 3-year-old class. Neither I nor her parents were enthusiastic about Chloe starting it so early. Despite that, Kylie alone enrolled Chloe in preparatory classes and gathered information. But Chloe didn't want to be separated from her mother and couldn't focus on the lessons, falling short of Kylie's expectations. Eventually, Kylie got bored and gave up. As Chloe grew up, she became more capable, regularly becoming class rep in elementary school, excelling in sports and academics, and making many friends. Kylie was the first to bring up middle school entrance exams. Thinking ahead to college, she persuaded her 9-year-old daughter that it would be better to take the middle school entrance exam now, and that friends can only get along with each other if they start in middle school. As a few of Chloe's close friends started discussing entrance exams, she embraced the idea and set her goal for it. But that's where the real problems began. Chloe started to take lessons at a cram school. Yet, just because you attend a cram school doesn't mean your grades would skyrocket. A friend of mine who's a teacher once said that it's harder to improve the grades of top students than to help those scoring 50s or 60s reach 80. Chloe was exactly that prior case. Moreover, the content at the cram school is different from regular schoolwork. In 4th grade, they learn ahead of the elementary curriculum to build a foundation, and by 5th grade, they start on middle school entrance exam material. By the 6th grade, they are fully immersed in practical quizzes for their target schools. Although it's elementary students taking the exams, they're learning at a middle school level. Children who have already been putting in a lot of effort are asked to work even harder. Kids who are doing well might find they're not so exceptional once they start cram school. Many feel discouraged by this.
Chloe, being diligent, persevered, but she went through a tough period without much improvement. Kylie never helped her with her studies or offered encouragement.
Instead, she would say things like, "If you don't improve your scores, you can't play on Sundays. Everyone else is working harder." During the winter break of 5th grade, Chloe snapped. She threw her fork down at the dinner table and yelled, "You don't know anything. So stop meddling." Seeing this, Kylie didn't shift gears to align with our daughter. Instead, she doubled down, saying, "Do you know how worried I am? If you fail the exams, you'll be the one embarrassed."
Seeing this, I stepped in, telling Kylie that I'd take over the tutoring and to stop pressuring our daughter.
Kylie then lashed out at me, saying, "What do you know? You've been busy with work and indifferent." She left the table. "Do whatever you want. Let's see what happens."
With that parting shot, she disappeared to the bedroom. I calmed Chloe down, got her to eat, and said, "But you did well."
Chloe looked at me. Stress needs to be released, or it harms both mind and body. There might have been other ways,
but I don't think standing up to your mom was wrong. Telling someone who's already trying hard to try harder is like
adding extra weight to someone already carrying a load.
Both you and your mom just had different approaches.
We can fix that. But I made Mom angry. Leave her be for now. She won't listen to anything in this state. It'll only make things worse. Apologize tomorrow. Sometimes, it's best to give people space.
If Chloe went to apologize now, Kylie would only get angrier, venting all her unresolved frustrations. It would be best if Kylie could realize she overstepped and apologize first, but she never reflects on herself. Her mother, on the other hand, is excellent at this,
which means Kylie takes it after her father.
Her mother lived without ever hearing, "I was wrong" from her husband, always being ordered around and bearing his frustrations.
Yet she tried to appease him. It's pitiable to witness.
After dinner, Chloe and I reviewed her missed questions.
We need to figure out what's causing the slow growth and fix it. To solve the problem, we first had to identify the cause.
I converted Chloe's cram school grades into data, creating graphs and tables for visual clarity. We identified her weaknesses and the causes of her mistakes. She frequently made careless errors.
Simple calculation mistakes, misinterpretations of questions, and spelling errors.
She was overconfident in her language arts skills, often neglecting to carefully review her answers. I stressed that achieving perfection in her strong subjects required meticulous attention. In math, her anxiety prevented her from focusing. While solving problems, she'd worry about the next one, whether she'd run out of time,
and what she'd do if she couldn't solve it. I reassured her that practice would help her get used to it. She should solve the easy problems first and leave the difficult ones for later.
I had her copy geometry problems into her notebook to familiarize herself with the shapes.
Seeing her performance trends and results in Excel helped Chloe objectively assess herself and calmly tackle problems. Soon,
this began to reflect in her results, and she started to regain confidence.
Kylie, however, wasn't the kind of mother to fully celebrate Chloe's efforts.
While we were pleased with Chloe's results, Kylie would warn her not to slack off or remind her that getting sick would negate her efforts. Her advice, though well-intentioned, was pessimistic and often demoralizing.
Even I found it tough to handle.
So I could only imagine how it affected our elementary school daughter.
Can't you encourage Chloe a bit more? Why do you speak so cynically when all you have to do is say well done? You're so proud of yourself, aren't you? You think you've raised her grades with your teaching and are bragging about it, making me look bad. Why should I encourage her? Don't you care about your own daughter? Why is it always about you? Our arguments became more frequent, and eventually, I started sleeping in the study.
It was since I found the bedroom door locked after helping Chloe with her studies.
I used the master key to get in. But from that night on, we never slept together again. "Dad, will you come with me on the exam day?" Hearing Chloe's hesitant request, I took a day off to accompany her. I wanted to eliminate as many worries as possible. With a short window for admissions, some schools announce results on the day of the exam, requiring the enrollment fee to be paid by the next day.
having already secured a spot at her second-choice school.
We needed to quickly decide where to pay the enrollment fee after the first-choice school's results were out.
I planned ahead and requested time off at work. Fortunately, my boss, having gone through a similar experience with his son, understood and approved my leave. Despite Chloe's big win of getting into her first-choice school, Kylie remained cold and indifferent since that day. Even at the celebratory dinner hosted by her parents, she bristled at her father's comment about Chloe getting into a better school than her mother did, and made excuses on circumstances being different in her times. Her mother tried to smooth things over by suggesting we eat before the soup got cold, but Kylie snapped, "You don't understand. These two teamed up to make a fool of me, criticizing my ways and telling me not to interfere.
They've ignored me and my efforts." "We didn't ignore you. We just analyzed Chloe's trends and identified her weaknesses."
"That's ignoring me. Acting like your way is the only right way, while you were indifferent when I was helping her."
"I trusted you and didn't want to interfere."
"Don't be silly. You, who went to public school, can't understand the challenges of these exams."
"Enough!" Chloe's scream echoed like it had on that fateful day.
"Mom, you're the one who said I should take the middle school exams."
"And I passed, didn't I? So why are you still complaining? If you wanted me to succeed, shouldn't you be happy, no matter whose method worked? Why do you act like it's a competition with Dad and you lost for it?"
"I thought we'd all be happy when I passed, but instead, you're sulking and muttering to yourself."
"You shut up. Acting high and mighty just because you passed a middle school exam. Stop it, both of you. Fighting here is disgraceful. As a mother, you should be focusing on keeping the peace."
Finally, Kylie fell silent at her mother's words.
"Let's just eat. We don't want the steak to go to waste. It's been a while since we had a meal like this, not since my birthday." My father-in-law's words helped to calm things down.
Kylie's mother started talking about the school entrance ceremony and commute times, trying to engage Chloe in a cheerful conversation.
Chloe understood her grandmother's efforts to create a pleasant atmosphere,
and shared stories about her friends and teachers to lighten the mood. Chloe, always willing to take on a leadership role, had a keen ability to read people and situations. Despite her young age, she often had to navigate her frustrations with an immature mother. Considering she'd been dealing with these struggles while preparing for her exams, no amount of support seemed enough.
Once Chloe started middle school, she quickly adapted and thrived.
Even Kylie settled down, telling Chloe to study at her own pace.
However, our relationship didn't recover.
Kylie played the role of a good mother in front of Chloe, making her lunch and seeing her off with a smile, engaging in conversations.
But when it was just the two of us, the atmosphere was tense.
When I asked how long she planned to keep the bedroom locked, she said,
"It's fine as it is. We have different sleeping schedules anyway.
We don't need any more children, and now that Chloe's exams are over, let's just live freely."
"I don't want to get any closer."
She said this with a triumphant smile, and 2 years later, I got transferred with my job. I was sent to Denver as the head of employee training to revitalize the branch.
When I informed Kylie again, she didn't believe me.
Even if she did, she wouldn't have said, "I'll go with you." She probably felt relieved.
A year after I moved to Denver, I received signed divorce papers.
Now that Chloe has started high school, there's no need for us to stay together. A note with these words was attached.
She must have taken one of Chloe's sticky notes. Even though it's an affiliated school, moving from middle to high school involves interviews.
There was an unspoken rule that parents' divorce would be a disadvantage.
Kylie had waited until Chloe entered high school
to finalize her escalator-style progression from middle to high school, which Kylie had always wanted.
This might have been Kylie's last duty as a mother.
I had long suspected that Kylie had no interest in how I was living or what my life in Denver was like. Even if I returned to New York, it seemed impossible to mend our marriage.
I no longer felt any desire to reconcile or make an effort to do so.
I buried my sinking feelings by immersing myself in my work. The employees in Denver were all earnest and kind, and apart from the cold weather, there was nothing particularly tough.
Chloe sometimes came to visit during her vacations.
Every time I saw her, she seemed to have grown taller or changed her hairstyle, making me realize how much she was growing up. Chloe had decided to live with her grandparents when I was transferred, commuting from their house instead of ours. It was indeed easier to commute from their place without needing to change trains.
But that wasn't the only reason.
She declared during her visit to Denver that she no longer wanted to live with her mother.
I've always felt that Mom and I
Didn't get along since I was a child. I tried to make an effort because I wanted to get along and see her smile. But it seems that if we don't get along, we just don't.
Maybe it's not right to feel this way about your own parent.
Chloe was cautious and not one to act lightly. Saying this out loud meant she had tried hard as a daughter and was crushed by the fruitless results. Her middle school exams were probably driven by a desire to be praised by her mother.
I felt more apologetic than anything.
Her grandparents were delighted, and even Kylie agreed. It made commuting and meal preparation easier.
She must have been relieved.
And living with Chloe might have been my father-in-law's last joy. One winter morning, he collapsed suddenly and never recovered. He had a stroke. He loved smoking and drinking till the end and was bold and daring. My mother-in-law gave a small smile, saying that she could forgive him for everything he had done for her, by the fact that he passed away without being hospitalized for a long time, and without her having to take care of him. I was grateful he passed without seeing our divorce.
He constantly reminded me to take care of his willful daughter.
That's why I couldn't shake off the guilt. Agreeing to the divorce as easily as accepting a direct mail
Was because he was no longer there, and perhaps it was easier for Kylie to ask too.
As both a daughter and son-in-law, I felt I had wronged him.
Chloe's affiliated high school was in a completely different location from the middle school.
She had to change trains twice from her grandparents' house, making the commute inconvenient.
Chloe wanted to live in the dormitory.
She wanted to participate in morning self-study and evening sessions, which were better suited for boarding students.
Commuting for an hour wasted time and energy.
That was true. Without her grandfather, her grandmother no longer had to prepare 3 meals a day. Her grandfather was particular about food, so she must have felt much more relaxed. With Chloe around, the burdens never seemed to end, so Kylie supported the dorm life. Since it was what Chloe wanted, I agreed too. Not having to worry about accidents or bad weather was a relief. I was fully occupied with my work, and Kylie enjoyed a carefree single life. In the end, Chloe might have been the most mature and the biggest sacrifice in the family.
But Chloe always worried about me and eagerly awaited my visits.
For a man who had been cut off by his wife, my daughter was now my greatest reason for living and my greatest strength.
That day, I had a meeting at a hotel lounge. They said they'd be about 30 minutes late, so I decided to go in and wait. Thinking this, I got off the elevator and headed to the club lounge. The club lounge is a special lounge reserved for guests staying on the club floor. Since today is an anniversary, I booked a nice room to celebrate.
I was thinking it would be a good night when suddenly,
"Oh, what's this?"
a lady looked at me curiously.
It was Kylie.
She had just come out of the restroom.
"It's been 3 years. What are you doing here? Isn't this place a bit too upscale for someone demoted to Denver? Are you here for business?" That was her first comment after not seeing me for so long. I didn't even feel like responding. "Hey, let me introduce you. Come on. This is my husband. You don't get opportunities like this." Kylie led me to a table at the back of the lounge. "This is Sam. Hey, this is my ex-husband. He got demoted to Denver. Sam is a deputy manager at Johnson Trading. It's one of the top 3 companies. So he's in a different league from you." I didn't even hear Kylie's triumphant voice. Sam and I faced each other in silence. I could see Sam's face turning pale. Kylie sat next to Sam, and I sat across from him. Trapped between the glowing skyline through the glass and Kylie, Sam had no escape. "Long time no see. What's this? Is it intentional? No way. I just found out now." I let out an exasperated laugh through my nose. "Really, what a coincidence. You're still up to the same old tricks. What are you talking about? Do you know each other?" "Oh, we know each other very well." "When was it again?" "I'm sorry. Please." Sam looked up at me, frightened. What are you talking about? Kylie, not understanding, was getting irritated but kept her voice down given the quiet setting. What's wrong? Are you shaking? Kylie grabbed Sam's arm. Hold on to him. I'm going to tell everything now. Please, anything but that. Then can you say it yourself? Not only have you failed to confess, but you've also been adding to your misdeeds. And do you even know who Kylie is? You're utterly worthless. Don't say such rude things. I'm really sorry. If you're sorry, then tell everything from your own mouth. I'll listen to everything you've done. What's going on? Kylie, holding Sam's arm, leaned in to look at him. Sam closed his eyes and began to speak, having resigned himself. It was after Chloe had entered high school and moved into the dormitory. Kylie's father had passed away, and her mother was left alone. While Kylie thought that her mother would feel relieved without anyone to care for, the reality was that she was overwhelmed by a sense of emptiness. It was so sudden. If he had been hospitalized for at least 3 days, I could have prepared myself. But no, Dad was selfish to the end. Not wanting to suffer, and left just like that. Even though her husband had not been particularly considerate of his wife, seeing her mourning his loss made me realize they had a deep bond. Our marriage was beyond repair. Learning about our situation from Kylie left her mother feeling that her world was falling apart. Yet she maintained a brave front and continued with her daily life. One day, while she was tending to the garden alone, digging and replanting the flower beds, a salesman came by. Despite being in a suit, he carried heavy bags of fertilizer and soil, prompting my mother-in-law to make him coffee and listen to his story. Having lived with a stubborn old-fashioned husband for so long, my mother-in-law was charmed by the polite and soft-spoken man. That man was Sam. Sam skillfully wove tales of financial management for retirement. At first glance, it seemed like her husband had left behind a substantial inheritance, but upon closer inspection after his death, it became clear this was not the case. Unknown bank accounts surfaced, suggesting secret savings, but were followed by debts. And the life insurance had been cancelled without her knowledge, leaving my mother-in-law disillusioned. Her anxieties about her retirement made her susceptible to Sam's promises. However, being cautious, my mother-in-law did not jump in immediately. She requested detailed explanations over several days, and even treated him to lunch out of goodwill. The truth was, Sam was a professional scammer. He not only helped with the garden but also changed the fish tank water, assisted with sorting her husband's belongings, and even paid respects at the household altar. I first met Sam when I returned to New York for a colleague's daughter's wedding. After the wedding, I stopped by the in-laws' house. I had informed them beforehand, but my mother-in-law, thinking the wedding was on Sunday, was surprised to see me on a Saturday afternoon. Naturally, Sam was caught off guard as well. However, with the practiced ease of a seasoned salesman, he began explaining his financial schemes to me. I didn't believe a word of it from the start. But seeing how much my mother-in-law trusted him, I hesitated to expose him then and there. Unlike her usual anxious and timid demeanor under her husband's scrutiny, she was now lively and happy, offering fine coffee and sweets, proudly talking about how wonderful Sam was, both professionally and personally, and how he helped around the house. I couldn't help but reflect on my shortcomings as a son-in-law. I told her to wait, as I would join any investment she made, and left that day. Afterward, I conducted an investigation and discovered that Sam's story was entirely fabricated and his company didn't exist. Armed with this evidence, I went back to the in-laws' house, finding Sam having lunch with my mother-in-law who was serving her specialty: deep-fried food. She had said she would no longer make fried foods alone, as her body couldn't handle greasy food at her age. But she had already signed the contract with Sam. He had persuaded her by saying that the investment offer would expire at the end of the month, and that interest rates would drop significantly afterward, making it her best option. When I revealed that everything he said was a lie, it was not Sam, but my mother-in-law who clung to me, pleading, "Don't blame Sam. He's not at fault." I knew everything, she cried. Sam and I were left speechless, and only my mother-in-law's sobs filled the room. She had given Sam $20,000 as an initial investment, saying she didn't care if the money never came back. She appreciated having someone visit, care for her, help with household chores, enjoy her cooking,
promised to return and listen to her stories and complaints.
It made me happy, she said. Sam hung his head. I couldn't look at my mother-in-law.
If my home life with Kylie had been peaceful, she wouldn't have been so lonely.
I felt ashamed.
With Kylie living as she pleased, neglecting both our household and her parents, I couldn't consult her about future worries. Especially now that we no longer functioned as a married couple, I couldn't rely on her. If she had said something, I might have been able to help, even if Kylie found it annoying. But the distance was too great. With Chloe no longer around, I had no reason to visit frequently. I couldn't help but feel that we, as her family, bore responsibility for my mother-in-law becoming a victim. Sam deeply apologized to us, but my mother-in-law shook her head, saying,
"You must have your own struggles too. Now that everything's out in the open, you won't come here anymore, will you? Even if I promise to keep your secret. You can't continue this work and face me again."
"That's what I regret more than the money," she said, tears streaming down her face.
It was heartbreaking to see.
My mother-in-law made 2 requests to me. One was never to tell Kylie. The other was not to punish Sam. Thanks to my mother-in-law's sad yet generous heart, Sam managed to escape that situation. I looked at Sam, curled up in the lounge chair. "You promised to change your ways, quit scamming, and come back when you had a legitimate job."
Is this what you consider a legitimate job? Johnson Trading? A company that wouldn't hire someone who scammed elderly people. What kind of scheme did you use this time to become an elite employee? And since you're Kylie's husband now, it means you're still hiding the truth. Quite the talent you have, fooling 2 generations. Did you tell Kylie some sob story, like you did with my mother-in-law?
Sam had told my mother-in-law that he was raised in an orphanage and had no family. He claimed that working in sales was tough, but that Johnson Trading was the only company that didn't require a degree. He had garnered her sympathy by saying that, unlike others who could rely on family connections to expand their client base, he had no such support. What part of his story was true? There was nothing I could believe. Kylie's hand, which had been holding onto Sam, was now trembling in her lap. Sam was supposed to be 5 years younger than Kylie if what he had said was true. What had she believed in to remarry such a man? After being scammed, my mother-in-law developed dementia, possibly from the stress, and is now in a care facility. The scam should have remained a secret from Kylie, but our unexpected encounter exposed everything. For my mother-in-law, not understanding the situation might actually be a blessing.
My phone vibrated. It was Chloe.
She was on a graduation trip to South Korea with her classmates.
They were visiting places related to some pop singer's debut anniversary.
I placed my phone on the table and let Kylie hear. Even without the speakerphone, Chloe's excited voice was clear.
"Dad, we just got back to the hotel.
I ate so much, my stomach's bursting.
It was spicy but delicious.
We visited all the landmark spots and took tons of photos. I'll make a slideshow and show you when I get back.
The kimchi here is amazing. Totally different from what we get in the US. I'll bring some back for you. And don't worry, I got makeup for Sarah too. Don't worry about souvenirs, just have fun."
"Okay. I'll be back the day after tomorrow."
"You and Sarah should go on a honeymoon.
She's so stylish, you should do something special for her."
"If you act too old-fashioned, she'll hate it."
"Ever since I saw Mom cheating when I was coming back from cram school,
I've been hoping you'd find someone better and be happy."
"I know you stayed with her because of my schooling."
"I'm not a kid anymore. So enjoy your life more." "I love Sarah, she's too good for you." Chloe laughed heartily.
Poor Chloe had witnessed her mother's infidelity before even starting middle school, keeping the weight of that knowledge to herself. I decided to marry Sarah, my assistant in Denver who had supported me through everything. Originally, my transfer to Denver was supposed to be for 3 years. However, due to the improvements made at the branch, I was recalled to the headquarters after just 2 years.
Sarah decided to quit her job and come with me.
"If I left you now, I'd regret it for the rest of my life,"
she said and proposed to me.
She had seen through my hesitation, caused by my divorce. She was valued for her career, and she now works at a related company.
Sarah, intelligent and kind,
got along well with Chloe, teaching her to bake and sharing a love for pop singers.
Okay, I'll call again tomorrow. We're going to chat and eat some snacks now. Don't overdo it. I won't, see you later.
When I looked at Kylie, her eyes no longer tracked anything.
She was likely overwhelmed by the flood of truth and reality. Harry, am I interrupting? Sarah had arrived. She was the main guest of honor today. It was her first birthday since we got married. No, it's fine. We're done talking. Oh, let me introduce you. This is my wife. Nice to meet you, I'm Sarah. Let's go. Aren't we drinking here? I ordered room service. I'd rather it be just the two of us. The room has a great view, you'll love it. I left with Sarah.
I wondered where Kylie's life would have diverged if she could start over.
Perhaps it was marrying me. Despite everything, I am grateful to Kylie for giving birth to Chloe.
We couldn't find a straight path to happiness, and my heart aches for my mother-in-law.
But I can't remain trapped in the past forever. I now have a new family, and I have the responsibility to watch over Chloe's future as her father. It was a night when I reaffirmed my resolve to live an honest life that my family can be proud of.